Welcome to the ReWire Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Stewman, and I'm here to rewire your mind for success. We're glad that you're here.
Show me your kids, and I'll tell you exactly who you are. You see, I see a lot of parents in my day, all types, from parents at church to parents at private school with my kids to parents that have asked me for advice on the internet, that have come in and out of our lives as friends of our kids and things like that, and I observe them all. But what I'm really watching is their kids. You see, I have conversations with my kids daily, and whether we go somewhere or not, they fully understand the responsibility that comes with being a Stewman. And I'm not anybody important, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to understand this. It doesn't matter if your last name's Smith, Jones, if you work $2 or 200 million. Your name means something. It's the name that was chosen by your parents for you. And it doesn't matter who your parents are either. There was a name that was chosen for your parents with you, but a last name that carries a legacy. And chances are somewhere in that legacy, if you're not proud of your parents, maybe your grandparents were a shit show too, somewhere in that legacy there's a winner. And somewhere in that legacy with that winner, they share your DNA. That means you have it in you. But here's the thing. I watch people's kids, and I tell them, I watch people's kids because I tell my kids that our name means something. And your name means something too, right? You're a winner. You have it in you. And your name means something. And so when I talk to my kids about going places, I say, when we get here, don't forget we're Stewmans. What do? We believe in our core values, right? Responsibility, integrity, service, excellence. We have a mission to help as many people as possible, and people are watching us. So you guys got to be on your best behavior at all times. See, my kids are worse at the house than they are at other people's places. I get compliments all the time. People say, man, your kids are amazing. They listen so well. My kids are they're my and Amy's DNA. My kids are wild as shit, but they understand at a young age the responsibility of our last name and how we must carry ourselves. And so when I see other people's kids and they don't behave right and they're wild and they don't listen to their parents, I listen to some of these kids talk back to their parents and not listen and throw fits and stuff like that, man, in public. In the house is one thing, but in public and in front of me, and I never say anything, but I know that is lack of discipline and lack of time, quality time spent with your kids, right? That is the iPad parenting method oftentimes that leads to undisciplined kids. You see, my kids, they wake up every single morning. They have a routine. They set the alarms go off in their rooms. They wake up. They come downstairs. They put their uniforms on. They make themselves breakfast. They go. They get their teeth brushed. They get their hair done. They meet at the door by 7:45 a.m., ready to load up in the Escalade and go to school. They know that. That's their routine. It's discipline. I don't have to remind them. I don't got to chase them down. And I'm bragging on my kids on one point, but I see so many other people. Hey, how do you get your kids to wake up in the morning? Hey, how do you get your kids to do this? How do you blah, blah, blah? Because here's the deal. I'm also the example for my kids. How could I tell my kids to behave a certain way if I don't behave that way? How can I expect my kids to carry themselves a certain way and respect our last name if I'm not putting respect on our last name? See, as a parent, it's up to you to lead the children. Too many people want to be their friends. We can be friends when they're in their 20s and 30s. I ain't hanging out with youngsters anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of against the law. I'm just being real. So we can be friends when they're in their 20s and 30s. But I'm going to be the disciplinarian. High love, high discipline. I'm going to be the disciplinarian in their life through their younger years. Once they're 18, the world's going to discipline them. But see, the way that I discipline isn't with a belt, isn't with my fist. It's with my words. It's how I speak to them. It's how I talk to them. It's how I'm real with them. My kids are never going to grow up and go, I had no idea Dad cussed. My kids are never going to grow up and go, I had no idea Dad drank and smoked. My kids aren't going to grow up and go, I didn't know Dad was hiding a past of ex-wives in prison. I'm not proud of any of that. But I get to leverage it with my kids to say, here's the mistakes I made. Don't do that. I'm telling you it doesn't lead down a good path. And because they see it, that I've turned it around, I get to be that example. Same thing for you. Make your last name mean something for you. It'll make it mean something for them. Same thing goes with your employees, by the way. I go into your business and I see how your employees act and carry themselves. I can tell you all about your management style too. So your kids are a reflection of you, whether you realize it or not, every single where you go. So wouldn't you want the best reflection of you? After all, as a child of God, I want the best reflection for God that I can possibly be. So I want my kids to be the best reflection for me. You should want the same. The way to do that is to become the example. Rise above.